Single mother was rejected for bringing daughter to interview until the Millionaire CEO appears. Sarah Mitchell held her document folder tightly as she walked through the mirrored hallways of Skyline Construction, the largest engineering company in Seattle. At 28, she had studied hard to get there, and that interview represented her chance to finally get a job in her field. Little Emma, just 4 years old, held her mother's hand with her tiny fingers. Her golden curls bounced with each step, and the little red dress Sarah had bought especially for the important day contrasted with the nervousness she felt. The babysitter had cancelled at the last minute, citing a family emergency, and Sarah had no one else to leave the girl with. "Mommy, why are you sweating?" asked Emma, looking up with her curious blue eyes. "I'm just a little nervous, sweetheart," Sarah replied, trying to keep her voice calm. "But everything will be fine." When they reached the reception desk, Sarah immediately noticed the receptionist's disapproving look. The woman, around 40 years old with dark hair pulled into a severe bun, looked first at Sarah, then at Emma, and her lips tightened into an expression of displeasure. "Good afternoon." Sarah approached the counter. "I have a 2 o'clock interview scheduled with Mrs. Margaret Thompson from Human Resources. My name is Sarah Mitchell." The receptionist checked the computer with deliberately slow movements. "Yes, it's here," she said, not hiding the irritation in her voice. "But I don't see anything about bringing a guest to the interview." "She's my daughter," Sarah explained, feeling her cheeks grow warm. "There was an unexpected issue with her caregiver today. She'll stay quiet with me, I promise." The woman sighed loudly and picked up the phone. "Mrs. Margaret, it's reception. The 2 o'clock candidate has arrived, but she brought a child," she said, clearly wanting Sarah to hear every word. "I understand. I'll let her know." She hung up the phone and looked at Sarah with a fake smile. "Mrs. Margaret will be down in a few minutes. You can sit over there." She pointed to the blue chairs on the opposite side of the room. Sarah guided Emma to the chairs, feeling the weight of the stares from other employees passing by. Some people whispered among themselves, and she was sure they were talking about her and the girl. "Mommy, are those people talking about us?" Emma asked quietly. "Don't worry about that, princess." Sarah kissed the top of her daughter's head. "Let's just sit here quietly and wait, okay?" 15 minutes passed. Sarah kept looking at her watch, knowing she was now late for the interview. Finally, a tall woman, about 50 years old, appeared from the elevator. She wore an elegant grey suit and carried a briefcase. Her greying hair was perfectly styled, and she walked with firm, determined steps. "Sarah Mitchell?" she asked without approaching. "Yes, that's me." Sarah stood up quickly. The woman looked at Emma and then back at Sarah, with an expression Sarah knew all too well. It was the same look she received in many places: judgment, disapproval, prejudice. "I'm Margaret Thompson, the Human Resources Manager," she said coldly. "I need to speak with you in private." Sarah felt her stomach tighten. She knew something was wrong. "Emma, sweetie, can you sit right here for just a minute? Mommy is going to talk with the lady over there and we'll be right back," said Sarah, trying to keep her voice steady. "I want to go with you, Mommy." Emma held firmly onto her mother's skirt. "It will be really quick, I promise." Margaret led Sarah a few feet away, but still within the reception area. "Mrs. Mitchell, I need to be direct with you," Margaret began without any warmth in her voice. "Our company looks for professionals who can fully dedicate themselves to their duties. Unfortunately, candidates with complicated family situations don't fit the profile we're seeking." Sarah felt as if she'd been punched in the stomach. "But you haven't even seen my qualifications yet," she tried to argue. "I have a degree in civil engineering from UW. I have experience in residential projects and—" "I'm sure your qualifications are adequate," Margaret interrupted. "But our internal policy is clear. We need people who can travel, work overtime, be available when needed. Single mothers, especially with young children, often have many limitations." "How do you know I'm a single mother?" Sarah asked, feeling the anger rise. "It's obvious," Margaret replied with a shrug. "Listen, it's nothing personal. It's just a practical matter." Sarah looked at Emma, who was sitting in the chair swinging her little legs, completely unaware of the conversation that was destroying her mother's dreams. The little girl held a small coloring book she always carried in her bag and was humming softly. Please, Sarah said, and hated the pleading tone in her own voice. Give me a chance. I can prove I'm capable of doing the job. I'm dedicated, responsible, and I really need this opportunity. I'm sorry, but the decision has already been made, Margaret replied, already turning to leave. Good luck in your future attempts. Sarah stood still in the middle of the reception area, feeling tears burning her eyes. 3 years studying engineering while working during the day and taking care of Emma at night. 2 years looking for a job in the field, being rejected in dozens of interviews. And now, she hadn't even had the chance to show what she was capable of. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Emma noticed something was wrong and ran to her mother. "Mommy, why are you sad?" she asked, holding Sarah's hand. "It's nothing, sweetheart." Sarah quickly wiped her eyes. "Let's go." "But you haven't had the interview yet." "The interview was cancelled," Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Why?" Sarah didn't know how to explain to a 4-year-old that they had been rejected before even having a chance. How to explain that there are people in the world who judge others just by their circumstances, without caring about their dreams or abilities. "Sometimes things don't work out as we plan, Princess," she finally said. They were heading for the exit when Emma let go of her mother's hand and ran in the opposite direction. "Emma!" Sarah shouted, but the little girl had already reached a man who had just stepped out of the elevator. The man was tall, probably in his 40s, with dark hair and some grey strands at his temples. He wore a dark blue suit that looked expensive and carried a leather briefcase. When Emma reached him, she hugged his legs as if she'd known him for years. "Hi, mister," Emma said cheerfully. "You look like my grandpa." The man seemed surprised, but knelt down to be at the little girl's level. "Hi, little one," he said with a kind smile. "And what's your name?" "Emma. And this is my coloring book." She showed him the book. "Want to see my drawings?" Sarah rushed over to them, mortified. "Emma, you can't just run off like that," she said, taking her daughter's hand. "I'm sorry, sir," she told the man. "She mistook you for someone." The man stood up, but kept smiling. "No problem at all," he said. "She's very sweet. And you must be the mother." "Yes," Sarah replied, still holding Emma's hand firmly. "We were just leaving." "Oh, what a shame. Did you come for some appointment here at the company?" Sarah hesitated. Part of her just wanted to leave and forget that humiliation. But something in the man's gentle manner made her answer honestly. "I had a job interview," she said, "but it was cancelled." "Cancelled? Why?" Sarah looked at Emma, who was flipping through her coloring book, and then back at the man. "Because I brought my daughter," she said quietly. "The babysitter cancelled at the last minute, and I had no one to leave her with. The HR manager said single mothers don't fit the company's profile." The man's face changed completely. The gentle expression was replaced by something more serious. "Who told you that?" "Margaret Thompson," Sarah answered. "The human resources manager." "I see," he said thoughtfully. "And what was the position?" "Junior civil engineer," Sarah replied, not understanding why he was asking so many questions. "Do you have a degree in engineering?" "Yes, from UW. I have experience in small residential projects, but I'm willing to learn anything. I'm very dedicated and responsible, despite what Mrs. Margaret might have thought." The man nodded slowly. "And you, Emma?" he addressed the girl. "Do you like to draw?" "I love it," Emma replied excitedly. "Want to see?" She opened the book and showed a page full of colorful drawings. "This one is my house, this is my room, and this is Mommy's office." "Mommy's office?" he asked, interested. "It's where she studies every night," Emma explained. "She has a lot of big books and makes drawings of buildings." Sarah felt her cheeks turn red. "She exaggerates," she said. "I just study at home, really." "Mommy, tell the man how you make houses on the computer," Emma insisted. "Emma, let's not bother the gentleman," Sarah said, trying to step away. "You're not bothering me," the man said. "In fact, I'm very interested. Do you work with residential projects?" "I used to," Sarah corrected, "in a small office. But they had to make cuts, and since I was the newest—" "I see." And where did you learn AutoCAD? Sarah looked at him surprised. She didn't expect him to know about engineering programs. I took some technical courses before college, she replied. And I taught myself too, studying at home. Impressive, he said, and Sarah noticed he seemed genuinely interested. Did you bring your resume? Yes, but may I take a look? Sarah hesitated, but took the resume out of the folder and handed it to him. He read it carefully, making small approving comments. Very good, he said finally. Your college grades are excellent, and I see you interned at Pacific Northwest Builders. How was the experience there? Very good. I learned a lot about construction management and supervision. But unfortunately, they didn't have a permanent position when I finished the internship. And since then, you've been looking for a job in the field. For 2 years, Sarah admitted. But I work other places to support my daughter. Currently, I work part-time as a sales clerk at a building materials store, and I do some freelance small projects. Freelance? What kind of projects? Home renovations mostly. Expansions, layout changes, that sort of thing. It's nothing very big, but it helps with the expenses. The man handed the resume back to her. Sarah, I'd like to make a proposal, he said. How about we redo this interview? Properly this time. Sarah looked at him confused. I don't understand. Do you work in HR too? Something like that, he replied with a small smile. My name is Michael Anthony Reynolds. I'm the CEO of this company. Sarah felt as if the ground had disappeared from under her feet. The CEO? She stammered. That's right. And I'm very interested in talking with you about your qualifications. If you have time, of course. Of course. I have time, Sarah managed to say, still in shock. Great. Let's go up to my office, and Emma can come too, of course. Uncle Michael, Emma said cheerfully, do you have colored pencils in your office? I sure do, Michael replied, smiling. And paper too, if you want to draw. They entered the elevator, and Sarah still couldn't believe what was happening. Half an hour ago, she was being humiliated and rejected. Now she was going up to the CEO's office. Mr. Reynolds, she began. Michael, please. Michael, I need to say, I don't know what happened with the interview downstairs. Margaret said that company policy. Let me make one thing clear, Michael interrupted, and his voice grew more serious. This company does not have and never has had any policy against single mothers or any other form of family discrimination. If someone told you that, they acted against our values and internal policies. The elevator stopped on the top floor, and they stepped out into an elegant hallway with marble floors and large windows that offered a panoramic view of Seattle. Wow! Emma exclaimed, running to the window. Look, Mommy, you can see the whole city. Yeah, sweetheart, Sarah replied, still trying to process everything that was happening. Michael opened the door to a spacious office. There was a dark wood desk, shelves full of books, and a meeting area with comfortable sofas. On one wall there were diplomas and certificates, and Sarah noticed that Michael was also an engineering graduate. Emma, you can draw here on the coffee table, Michael said, offering paper and a box of colored pencils. And Sarah, please have a seat. While Emma happily settled in with her drawings, Michael and Sarah sat in armchairs facing each other. First, I'd like to apologize for what happened downstairs, Michael said. That shouldn't have occurred, and I will look into what led to that situation. You don't need to apologize, Sarah said. You didn't know anything about it. But it is my responsibility to know what happens in my company, Michael replied. And clearly, something isn't working as it should. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Now, tell me more about yourself. What motivated you to study engineering? Sarah took a deep breath, trying to focus on the interview and forget her nervousness. I always liked math and understanding how things work, she began. When I was a child, I took all my toys apart to see what was inside. My father was a bricklayer, and sometimes I went to work with him. I was fascinated watching buildings go up from scratch. And did your family support your decision to study engineering? My father was very supportive, Sarah said, her voice softening. He always said I could be anything I wanted. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was in my second year of college. I'm sorry. Thank you, it was a very difficult time. My mother was left alone and I had to work to help out at home. That's when I found out I was pregnant with Emma. Sarah looked at her daughter, who was focused on drawing a house with lots of colorful windows. Emma's father. He didn't want to take responsibility, Sarah said simply. Said he wasn't ready to be a father and that I should handle the situation on my own. How did you manage to finish college? It wasn't easy, Sarah admitted. I worked during the day, studied at night, and took care of Emma whenever I could. My mother helped me a lot, especially in the first few months after Emma was born. But I was determined to finish my degree. I wanted to give my daughter a better future. Michael nodded, impressed. And since you graduated 2 years ago, have you been looking for work in the field? Yes, I've done over 50 interviews, Sarah said. Some companies didn't even call me for an interview after they found out I have a young daughter. Others, like today, rejected me immediately when they saw Emma. That's unacceptable, Michael said, and Sarah could see he was genuinely outraged. Discrimination based on marital or family status is a crime in Brazil. I know, Sarah said, but prove it. It's always my word against theirs, and I need a job, not a legal battle. Michael was silent for a moment, watching Emma draw. Tell me about the freelance work you do. They're small projects, Sarah explained. Usually people who want to renovate or expand their homes, but need a plan to get approval from the city. I charge low prices because I'm still building my reputation, but the work is well done. Do you have some examples of your work? Sarah hesitated. I have some photos on my phone, but I don't know if it's appropriate to show them in an interview. Please, I'd really like to see them. Sarah took out her phone and showed some before and after photos of renovations she had designed. Michael examined each image carefully, asking technical questions about structural solutions and space utilization. Very impressive, he said finally. You have real talent for optimizing small spaces. That's a valuable skill, especially in affordable housing projects. Thank you, Sarah said, feeling more confident. Now, tell me about your professional expectations. If you were hired here, what would you like to do? Honestly, anything, Sarah replied. I know I don't have much experience with large projects, but I'm willing to learn. I'd like to work on housing projects, especially social programs. I believe everyone deserves a decent home, regardless of income. Michael smiled. Coincidentally, we're just starting a new project in that exact area, a partnership with the city to develop sustainable, affordable housing. It would be interesting to have someone on the team who understands the real needs of low-income families. It would be a dream to work on something like that, Sarah said, her eyes shining with emotion. Mommy, Emma interrupted, coming over to show her drawing. Look what I made. It was a drawing of a large house with many windows, a garden with flowers and 3 figures in front, a woman, a girl, and a man. How beautiful, sweetheart, Sarah said. Who are these people? This is you, this is me, and this is Uncle Michael, Emma explained. It's our new house. Sarah was mortified. Emma, people can't live together just because they've met. Michael laughed. She has a very creative imagination, he said. Emma, would you like to have a house like this? I would, with a room just for my drawings, Emma said excitedly. And would your mommy work building houses like this for other families? Yes, Mommy is very good at making houses. She made Mrs. Ruth's house much prettier. Mrs. Ruth? Our neighbor, Sarah explained. She needed to expand the house because her children got married and moved back in with her. I did the project for free because she couldn't afford to pay. For free? She's a very kind lady who always looked after Emma when I needed help. It was the least I could do. Michael nodded, increasingly impressed with Sarah's character. Emma, he said, would you like to see the rest of the building? I can show you where your mommy would work if she came to work here. Can I, Mommy? Emma asked excitedly. Of course, sweetheart. They took a tour of the engineering floor where Michael introduced Sarah to some employees and showed her the ongoing projects. Sarah asked smart questions and gave creative suggestions that impressed even the most experienced engineers. Sarah, Michael said when they returned to his office, I'd like to make a formal proposal to you." Sarah felt her heart race. "I'm offering you the position of junior civil engineer, with a starting salary of $5,000, meal vouchers, full health insurance for you and Emma, and participation in the company's training program." Sarah stayed silent for a few seconds, trying to process what she was hearing. $5,000, she repeated. "It's the standard salary for the position. If it's too low, we can negotiate." "No," Sarah said quickly. "It's more than I expected. It's more than I earn in 3 months at my current jobs." "Great, do you accept?" I accept," Sarah said, and tears of relief began to roll down her face. Thank you so much." "Uncle Michael," Emma said, "why is Mommy crying? Is she sad?" "No, little one," Michael said, kneeling beside the girl. "Your mommy is crying from happiness. She got the job she wanted." "Yay!" Emma clapped her hands. "Now can we live in the house from my drawing?" Sarah laughed through her tears. "Not exactly, my love, but now Mommy will be able to work in what she studied and our life will get better." "And can I come visit Uncle Michael?" "Well," Michael said, "actually, we have a daycare here at the company for employees' children. If your mommy wants, you can stay there during the day playing with other kids." "A daycare?" Sarah asked, surprised. "We implemented it 2 years ago," Michael explained. "We noticed many of our employees had difficulties with childcare, so we decided to handle it internally. It's well structured, with qualified professionals and educational activities." "That's amazing," Sarah said. "It solves one of my biggest problems." "Can I go there now?" Emma asked. "We can take a quick look before you head home," Michael said. "And Sarah, you can start on Monday. I'll ask the HR folks to prepare all the documentation." They went down to the 3rd floor, where the daycare was located. It was a spacious, colorful area with educational toys, a children's library, and even a small outdoor area with a playground. Some children were playing while 2 caregivers supervised. "What a beautiful place," Emma said, amazed. "Would you like to meet the other children?" one of the caregivers asked kindly. Emma looked at Sarah, who nodded. The girl ran to join a group of children assembling a large puzzle. "She adapts quickly," Michael observed. "She's always been like that," Sarah said, watching her daughter play. "She's a very sociable child." "How does she handle her father's absence?" Sarah sighed. "Sometimes she asks about him, especially when she sees other children with their fathers. I always say that some families are different and that the 2 of us are a complete family. She seems to accept it well, but I know one day the questions will get harder." "Have you thought about dating again?" "Honestly, I don't have time." Sarah laughed sadly. "Between working, taking care of Emma, and studying, I barely have time to sleep, and I'm also afraid of being disappointed again." "I understand. But you're young, smart, and a wonderful mother. I'm sure when the right time comes, you'll find someone who values all that." Sarah looked at him, surprised by the sincerity of the comment. "Thank you," she said softly. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. This helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. When they left the daycare, Michael accompanied Sarah and Emma to the reception area. The same receptionist who had been rude to them earlier now looked at them with curiosity and a bit of nervousness. "Susan," Michael addressed the receptionist, "this is Sarah Mitchell, our new engineer. Starting Monday, she'll be part of our team." The woman's eyes widened. "Oh, yes, Mr. Reynolds," she stammered. "And Susan," Michael continued, his voice growing more serious, "I need to speak with you about customer service procedures. Stop by my office tomorrow." The receptionist swallowed hard and nodded. "Sarah," Michael turned to her, "it was a pleasure meeting you. And Emma, I hope to see you at daycare on Monday." "Bye, Uncle Michael," Emma waved cheerfully. "Mr. Reynolds," Sarah said, "I really don't know how to thank you." "Work well and be happy," he replied. "That's the best thanks I could receive." Sarah and Emma left the building, and Sarah still felt as if she were dreaming. In a matter of hours, her life had completely changed. She had a job in her field, with a salary that would allow a decent life for her and Emma. and it even included benefits like health insurance and daycare. "Mommy," Emma said as they waited for the bus, "Uncle Michael is very handsome, isn't he?" "Emma," Sarah said, blushing, "and he's kind too. I think you should marry him." "My love, things don't work that way. People don't get married just because someone is kind." "Why not?" Sarah laughed, realizing she didn't have a simple answer for such an innocent question. "It's complicated, sweetie. When you grow up, you'll understand better." That night, Sarah could barely sleep from all the excitement. She woke up several times checking if everything had been real, if she had truly gotten the job. In the morning, she called her mother to share the news. "Sarah, how wonderful," Mrs. Patricia said, emotional. "I always knew your hard work would be rewarded." "Mom, it wasn't just hard work. It was really luck. If Emma hadn't run up to that man, it wasn't luck, dear, it was destiny. You deserve this opportunity." Over the weekend, Sarah got everything ready to start her new job. She bought some suitable office clothes, prepared Emma for the change in routine, and studied everything she could find online about skyline construction. Michael also spent the weekend thinking about Sarah and Emma. There was something special about that mother and daughter that had touched him deeply. Sarah's determination, her intelligence and humility impressed him. And Emma. The little girl reminded him of his own childhood, when he was also 4 years old, and his world had changed forever. On Monday morning, Sarah arrived early at the company. This time she was warmly received at the reception. Susan greeted her with a nervous smile and was extremely helpful, offering coffee and directions on where to go. Sarah went first to the daycare to drop off Emma. The little girl was excited to see the children she had met on Friday. "Mommy, are you going upstairs to work with Uncle Michael?" Emma asked. "I'll be working in the same building as him, but not exactly with him," Sarah explained. "I'll be working with other engineers on important projects." "And can I draw pictures for you to take to him?" "Of course, my love, but remember to behave well here at daycare, okay?" After dropping off Emma, Sarah went up to the 5th floor, where the engineering department was located. She was greeted by Jennifer Wilson, a civil engineer about 35 years old, who would be her immediate supervisor. "Sarah, welcome," Jennifer said warmly. "We're very excited to work with you." Jennifer introduced Sarah to the rest of the team. Robert Johnson, a 40-year-old engineer specialized in structures, Brian, recently graduated like Sarah, and Rachel, an architect who worked in partnership with the engineering team. "Sarah," Jennifer said, "Michael told me about your experience with low-income residential projects. It's exactly what we need for the New Horizons project." "New Horizons project?" "It's the partnership with the city that Michael mentioned," Robert explained. "We'll develop a housing complex for families with incomes of up to 3 minimum wages. The challenge is to create functional, beautiful, and sustainable homes within a very tight budget." "We already have some preliminary studies," Rachel added, "but we need someone who truly understands the needs of the families who will live there." Sarah felt a wave of emotion. It was exactly the type of project she had always dreamed of working on. "May I see the studies?" They spent the entire morning analyzing blueprints, budgets, and technical specifications. Sarah made several suggestions based on her personal experience and the freelance projects she had done. Her ideas for optimizing small spaces and reducing costs impressed the whole team. "Sarah," Jennifer said during lunch, "your suggestions were brilliant, especially the idea of using movable partitions to increase the versatility of the rooms. It's a solution I've used many times in renovations," Sarah explained. "Small families need flexibility. During the day, spaces can have one function, and at night, a completely different one." "And the suggestion of a community garden integrated into the urban design?" Brian asked. "Many low-income families grow their own food out of necessity," Sarah replied. "If we include this in the planning from the start, we create community spaces and also help with the family's household economy." At the end of the first day, Sarah was exhausted but extremely happy. It had been years since she had felt so professionally fulfilled. When she went to pick up Emma from daycare, she found the girl happily playing with a boy her age. "Mommy!" Emma ran to hug her. "This is Ethan. He's 4 years old like me, and he likes to draw too." "Hi, Ethan," Sarah greeted the boy. "Did you play a lot today?" "We played at building houses with blocks," Ethan replied. "Emma said your mom builds real houses." "More or less," Sarah smiled. The caregiver, a woman of about 50 named Deborah, approached. "Sarah, Emma has adapted very well. She's a polite and creative girl. She spent the whole afternoon drawing houses and explaining to the other children how to make a project." "She has always liked to draw," Sarah said proudly. "Mommy, can I stay a little longer?" Emma asked. "Of course, my love, but only 15 more minutes, okay?" While Emma played, Sarah talked with Deborah about the daycare's routine, operating hours, and activities offered. She was impressed with the quality of the service and the dedication of the professionals. "May I ask a personal question?" Deborah said. "Of course." "Michael mentioned that you're a single mother. How has it been working here on your first day?" "It's been wonderful," Sarah replied. "Everyone has been very welcoming. Why do you ask?" "It's just that he implemented the daycare specifically thinking of employees like you," Deborah explained. "He said that a truly inclusive company needs to provide real support so that fathers and mothers can work without worrying about their children." "He seems like a very socially conscious boss." "He is," Deborah agreed, "but few people know that his motivation is personal. His mother was a single mother and faced many difficulties when he was a child." Sarah was surprised by this information. He never mentioned that. "Michael is very private about his personal life, but those of us who've worked here a long time like me know the story. His mother had to work 3 jobs to raise him alone and often had no one to leave him with. He spent hours waiting at her workplace, just like your Emma did on Friday." This revelation made Sarah see Michael in a different light. It explained why he had been so understanding and kind about her situation. That night, while Emma slept, Sarah reflected on how her life had changed in just a few days. For the first time in years, she felt she had a promising future ahead. And for some reason, she couldn't explain. She couldn't stop thinking about Michael and the story Deborah had told. Sarah's first days at the company were intense and productive. She threw herself completely into the New Horizons project, working during business hours and studying technical details at home during the evenings. Her suggestions were gradually incorporated into the project, and she quickly gained the respect of the entire team. Emma also adapted very well to the new routine. She made friends with several children at daycare, and was always excited to show her mother the drawings and little projects she made during the day. "Mommy," Emma said one night, as Sarah was helping her bathe, "Uncle Michael stopped by daycare today." "Stopped by?" Sarah asked, surprised. "Yes, he did. He asked if I was enjoying being there, and I said I was. Then he asked if you were liking the job." "And what did you say?" "I said, you're much happier when you come home now. Before you were always tired and sad, but now you smile more." Sarah felt her heart tighten. She didn't realize her sadness had been so obvious to Emma. "And what else did you talk about?" "He asked if I missed having a daddy," Emma said casually. Sarah stopped brushing her daughter's hair. "And what did you say?" "I said sometimes yes, but that you take very good care of me by yourself, and that maybe one day you'll find a daddy for me." "Emma, then he said your mommy was very special, and that any man would be lucky to have a family with you." Sarah was speechless. Why was Michael having that kind of conversation with Emma? And why was he asking about their personal lives? The next morning, Sarah was working on a cost spreadsheet when Jennifer appeared at her desk. "Sarah, Michael wants to see you in his office." "Now?" "Yes, you can go up whenever you're ready." Sarah saved the file and went up to the top floor, feeling nervous without knowing why. She knocked on the door of Michael's office and heard, "Come in," from the other side. "Sarah!" Michael stood up from his computer. "Please, have a seat. How have your first days been here?" "Very good," Sarah replied. "The team is excellent, and the New Horizons project is everything I ever dreamed of working on." "I'm very glad to hear that. Jennifer told me your contributions have been valuable." "Thank you. I hope I'm meeting expectations." "You're exceeding them," Michael smiled. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about something specific." Sarah felt a twinge of nervousness. "Of course. We're organizing a presentation of the New Horizons project for the City Council next week. It's an important meeting that will determine whether we get approval and funding to move forward. I understand. I'd like you to participate in the presentation. Your ideas about the real needs of low-income families need to be heard by the decision makers. Sarah's eyes widened. Me? But I've worked here less than a week. And you've already shown more understanding of the target audience than many professionals with decades of experience, Michael interrupted. Besides, you have credibility. You've lived through some of the hardships these families face. I don't know if I'm ready for such an important presentation. I believe you are, Michael said with conviction. And I'll be there to support you. Jennifer will also be part of the presentation, so you won't be alone. Sarah thought for a few seconds. It was an incredible opportunity, but also scary. All right, she said finally. I'll do my best. I'm sure you will. Now, changing the subject, Michael leaned back in his chair. Emma told me you live in a small apartment in the Rainier Valley neighborhood. Yes, Sarah replied, not understanding where the conversation was going. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. Nothing luxurious, but it's our home. What's the commute like from here to there? I take a bus and then the subway. It takes about an hour and a half each way. 3 hours a day on public transportation, Michael murmured thoughtfully. That must be tiring. I'm used to it and I use the time to read or study. Sarah, may I make a suggestion? Of course. The company has a housing assistance program for employees. We offer low-interest loans for down payments, and we have partnerships with some local construction companies. That's interesting, Sarah said, not understanding why he was offering this so soon. It turns out I'm selling an apartment here in the Queen Anne neighborhood. It's a 3-bedroom in a building with good amenities. I was thinking of offering it to you. Sarah was speechless. An apartment in Queen Anne? Michael, I can't afford to buy a property in a neighborhood like that. Let me finish, Michael smiled. I'm willing to sell at a significant discount to a company employee, and you could pay in installments that fit your budget. Why would you do that? Because I believe in investing in the people who work with me, Michael replied, and because I know how hard it is to start over. Sometimes a little help can make all the difference. Sarah looked at him suspiciously. Michael, that's very generous, but I can't accept charity. It's not charity, Michael said firmly. It's a mutual investment. You'd have a better quality of life, spend less time commuting, and could focus more on work. The company gains a more productive and satisfied employee. Even so, at least come see the apartment, Michael insisted. It doesn't cost anything to look. If you don't like it or don't feel comfortable with the proposal, that's absolutely fine. Sarah hesitated. On one hand, the offer seemed too good to be true. On the other, it would be an incredible opportunity to give Emma a better life. All right, she said finally. I can see the apartment. Great. How about tomorrow after work? I can take you both there. You're coming along? If you don't mind, I know the building well and can answer your questions about the neighborhood. That's fine. But if I decide not to accept, absolutely no problem, Michael assured. The decision is entirely yours. That night, Sarah told Emma about the possibility of moving to a new apartment. A new apartment? Emma asked excitedly. Will I have my own room? Maybe, sweetheart, but we haven't decided anything yet. We're just going to look tomorrow. And will it be close to Mommy's work? Yes, much closer. And to Uncle Michael? Sarah looked at her daughter, intrigued. Why do you ask that? Because then you could marry him, and we could be a real family, Emma said innocently. Emma, we've talked about this. Things don't work that way. But I like Uncle Michael, and he likes us too. I can tell by the way he looks at you. Sarah felt her face grow warm. What way? The same way you look at him when you think no one's watching. I don't look at him any special way, Sarah protested. Yes, you do, Emma insisted, just like the princess looks at the prince in the movies. Sarah Mitchell decided it was better to change the subject before the conversation went too far. The next day, work at the company was particularly intense. Sarah was finalizing the details of her part of the presentation for the City Hall when she received an unexpected call. Sarah Mitchell. Yes, speaking. This is Victoria Brown from Pacific Northwest Builders. You interned with us 2 years ago. Sarah was surprised. Why was Pacific Northwest Builders calling now? Hello, Victoria. How are you? I'm well, thank you. Sarah, I'm calling because I heard you got a job at Skyline Construction. Yes, I started this week. That's wonderful. We're very happy for you. Actually, I'm calling to make a proposal. A proposal? Yes. We've opened a position for a senior civil engineer, and we immediately thought of you. I know you have little official experience, but you always showed great talent during your internship. Sarah didn't know what to say. Victoria, I'm flattered, but I just started a new job. I know, and normally I wouldn't approach you so soon. But the truth is we're willing to offer a very competitive salary, $8,000 to start, with prospects for a quick raise. Sarah nearly dropped the phone. $8,000 was more than 50% of what she was making at Skyline. It's a very generous offer, she managed to say. And there's more. The position includes a company car, premium health insurance, and education assistance for Emma. How do you know about Emma? Sarah, Seattle is a small town in professional circles. Everyone knows you're a competent professional and a dedicated mother. That only increases our interest in having you on the team. Sarah fell silent, trying to process the offer. Can I think about it? Of course, but I'd like an answer by Friday. The position needs to be filled quickly. After hanging up, Sarah felt confused and troubled. Why did this opportunity appear right now when she was just starting to settle in at Skyline? And why had Pacific Northwest Builders never shown interest before? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. At 5 o'clock, Michael appeared in the engineering department to pick up Sarah and Emma. Ready to see the apartment? Yes, Sarah answered, but her voice sounded less enthusiastic than he expected. Is everything all right? You seem worried. Just tired from work, Sarah lied. They picked up Emma from daycare and drove to the building in Queen Anne. It was a modern building with 24-hour security, a leisure area with a pool and gym, and a playground for children. Wow, Emma exclaimed when they saw the pool. Mommy, look at the pool. It's really beautiful, sweetheart. The apartment was on the 8th floor and had a wonderful view of the city. It had 3 bedrooms, one being a master suite, a spacious living room with a balcony, a modern kitchen, and 2 parking spaces. Mommy, can I choose which one will be my room? Emma asked, running from one room to another. Slow down, Emma. We're still just looking. Michael showed every detail of the apartment, explaining the quality of the finishes, the energy efficiency of the appliances, and the building's amenities. What do you think? He asked when they finished the tour. It's beautiful, Sarah admitted. Far beyond what I ever imagined for me and Emma. Uncle Michael, Emma came running. Can the room with the big window be my room? You can see the park. Of course, Emma. If your mother decides you're going to live here, you can choose any room you want. Sarah noticed something in Michael's voice. There was an expectation there, as if it really mattered to him that they accept. Michael, she said when Emma went to explore the balcony, can I ask a personal question? Of course. Why are you doing this for us? You've barely known me for a week. Michael stayed silent for a few seconds, looking out the window. Because I see so much of myself and my mother in you and Emma, he finally said. When I was Emma's age, my mother was also struggling alone to give us a better life. Unfortunately, no one ever showed up to help her when she needed it most. What happened to her? She worked her whole life in jobs that didn't value her potential, Michael replied, sadness in his voice. She was smart, dedicated, but never had the opportunities she deserved. When I found success in life, I swore I would help other people in similar situations whenever possible. It must have been hard for you. It was. There were times when we weren't sure if we could pay the rent the next month. I remember seeing my mother crying in secret, thinking I didn't notice. Sarah felt a tightness in her heart, recognizing her own experiences in Michael's story. And now she must be very proud of you. She passed away 5 years ago, Michael said softly. Cancer. We found out too late. I'm so sorry. Thank you. The last thing she told me was to use my success to help other people. That's what I try to do. Sarah understood then why Michael had been so sensitive to her situation. It wasn't just professional sympathy, it was something deeply personal. "Michael, I need to be honest with you," she said. "I received a job offer today from Pacific Northwest Builders." Michael's face changed. "An offer?" "Yes. They're offering a significantly higher salary and other benefits." "I understand," Michael said, and Sarah could see he was struggling to maintain his composure. "It's a difficult decision." "It is. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. Maybe because I feel I owe you honesty after everything you've done for me. You owe me nothing, Sarah. And whatever your decision, I will respect and support it. But I hope you consider not just the money, but also where you can grow professionally and personally. Here at Skyline Construction, you're not just another employee. You're part of a bigger mission." Sarah nodded, understanding what he meant. "I'll think carefully about everything," she promised. "That's all I can ask." On the way back home, Emma wouldn't stop talking about the apartment. "Mommy, are we going to live there?" she asked for the 10th time. "I'm still thinking, my love. I loved it. And Uncle Michael is so kind to let us live in his apartment." Sarah looked in the rearview mirror and saw Michael smiling. "Emma," he said, "if you decide to live there, it won't be my apartment anymore. It will be yours." "Really? Really? Uncle Michael, do you want to be my daddy?" Sarah felt her face burn. "Emma, you can't ask that kind of question. Why not?" Emma asked innocently. "He's kind, takes care of us and likes us. Isn't that what a daddy does?" Michael laughed, but Sarah could see he was also a little embarrassed. "Emma," he said gently, "being a daddy is something very serious and special. It's not a decision you make quickly. But would you like to?" Sarah wanted to disappear. "Emma, we're here," she said quickly, even though they hadn't reached their building yet. "We can get out here." "No, it's fine," Michael said, smiling. "I can take you all the way home." The rest of the trip was made in silence, but Sarah could feel the tension in the air. When they arrived at the building where she lived, Emma said goodbye to Michael with a kiss on the cheek. "Bye, Uncle Michael. Thank you for showing me the new house." "You're welcome, little one. Bye." "Sarah," Michael said when Emma got out of the car, "regardless of your decision about the job or the apartment, I would like to continue being your friend." "Of course," Sarah replied. "And thank you for everything, really. You're welcome." That night, Sarah stayed up late thinking about everything that had happened. The offer from Pacific Northwest Builders was tempting from a financial standpoint, but there was something about Skyline Construction that went beyond salary. It was the feeling of belonging, of doing something important, of being valued not just as a professional, but as a person. And there was Michael. Sarah couldn't deny she felt something for him, even as she tried to convince herself it was just gratitude. The way he looked at her, how he treated Emma, how he cared about their well-being. It was different from anything she had ever experienced. But would it be wise to get romantically involved with her boss? What if things went wrong? She would lose not only a potential relationship, but also the job she had wanted so badly. The next morning, Sarah was more confused than ever. She decided to talk to Jennifer, who had become a good friend in the few days she had been working there. "Jennifer, can I speak with you privately?" "Of course, Sarah. Shall we get some coffee?" They went to the company break room, a cozy space with sofas and an espresso machine. "What's going on?" Jennifer asked, noticing Sarah's worried expression. "I received a job offer yesterday from Pacific Northwest Builders." "Really?" Jennifer seemed genuinely surprised. "But you just got here." "I know, it is strange. They never showed interest before, and now they're offering a much higher salary." "How much higher?" "Almost double what I make here." Jennifer whistled softly. "That's a significant difference. And you're thinking about accepting?" "I don't know. Financially, it would make a lot of sense. But there's something that doesn't feel right about the situation." "What do you mean? Why now? Why exactly 1 week after I started here? And how did they know I was working at Skyline Construction?" Jennifer looked thoughtful. Sarah, can I say something that might sound paranoid? Of course. Pacific Northwest Builders and Skyline Construction are direct competitors on several projects. In fact, they lost the bid for the New Horizons project to us last month. So your ideas for the project are innovative and could give a significant competitive advantage to any company. If they could get you think they're trying to hire me to get access to project information? It's possible, Jennifer said carefully. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but the timing is suspicious. Sarah felt a chill in her stomach. Had she been naive to consider the offer? What would you do in my place? Honestly? I'd stay here, Jennifer replied without hesitation. Not just because of what we just talked about, but because I see how well you fit in with the team, how excited you are about the work. Money is important, but job satisfaction is too. What if I'm missing a unique opportunity? Sarah, you have talent and dedication. Other opportunities will come, but finding a place where you truly belong is rarer. That afternoon, while preparing the presentation for the City Council, Sarah observed the team's dynamic. Robert consulted her on technical details, Rachel asked for her opinion on aesthetic aspects, and Brian constantly praised her creative suggestions. She really did feel like part of that group. At 5 o'clock, Michael appeared in the department. How's the preparation going? Very well, Jennifer answered. Sarah had a brilliant idea to reduce construction costs without compromising quality. What idea? Using recycled materials in non-structural elements, Sarah explained. We can reduce the total construction cost by up to 15% and also create a sustainable edge that could attract specific funding for green projects. Michael smiled, clearly impressed. Brilliant. The city will love this approach. And it's not just about the economy, Sarah continued, excited. It's educational. Families will see that sustainability isn't a luxury, it's economic wisdom. Sarah, Michael said, can I speak with you in private? They stepped away from the group. I thought about our conversation yesterday, he said, about Pacific Northwest Builders' proposal. Yes? I know I can't compete financially with what they're offering, at least not immediately, but I'd like to make a counteroffer. Michael, you don't have to Please let me finish, he interrupted. I'm offering you a minority stake in the company. 3% of shares, with rights to annual dividends and participation in major strategic decisions. Sarah was speechless. A stake in the company? Michael, it's an investment in the future, he said. I believe you can become one of the top engineers in Washington, and I want that to happen here at Skyline. But why? Why invest so much in me? Michael looked her in the eyes. Because I believe in you, and because I don't want you to leave. There was something in his voice, a vulnerability Sarah hadn't noticed before. Michael, I know it might seem too soon for this kind of offer, he continued quickly, but sometimes the best decisions are the ones we make following our intuition, not just logic. Sarah felt her heart race. She didn't know if he was talking only about work. Can I have until tomorrow to decide? Of course, and Sarah, whatever your decision, it won't affect our friendship. I promise you that. That evening, Sarah talked with her mother about the situation. Sarah, you seem happier working at this company than I've seen you in years, Mrs. Patricia said. And this stake in the company, it's an amazing opportunity. But Pacific Northwest Builders' salary is much higher, Mum. Money isn't everything, dear. And from what you've told me about this Michael, he seems like a good and honest man. What does that have to do with work? It has everything to do with it, Mrs. Patricia smiled. A woman my age learns to notice certain things. That man isn't just interested in your professional skills. Mom, and you feel something for him too, don't you? Sarah sighed. I don't know. Maybe. But it's very complicated. He's my boss. He's successful. He has a world completely different from mine. So what? You think you don't deserve to be happy? It's not that. I'm just afraid of getting hurt again, and of hurting Emma. Emma adores that man, Mrs. Patricia reminded her. And from what you tell me, he cares about her too. How do you know? Dear, A man who doesn't like children doesn't offer an apartment with a decorated child's room, doesn't visit daycare to ask about a little girl's well-being, and doesn't patiently listen to a 4-year-old's fantasies about marriage. Sarah looked at her mother, surprised. A decorated child's room? You said the apartment had a room with a view of the park. Perfect for a child. Do you really think that was a coincidence? Sarah hadn't thought about that before, but now that her mother mentioned it, it made sense. Michael had prepared everything specifically with them in mind. What do you think I should do? Follow your heart, dear. Pacific Northwest Builders' money might solve immediate problems, but the happiness you found at Skyline could change your life forever. The next morning, Sarah arrived early to work. She wanted to finalize some details of the presentation before giving her answer to Michael. She was so focused that she didn't notice when someone approached her desk. Sarah Mitchell. She looked up and saw a well-dressed man around 50 years old whom she didn't recognize. Yes, that's me. My name is Richard Davidson. I'm the director of Pacific Northwest Builders. May we talk? Sarah was surprised. The company director himself had come all the way here. Of course, she said, standing up. Would you prefer to talk here, or shall we go somewhere more private? Here is fine, Sarah replied, suspicious. I came personally because the proposal we made yesterday is very important to us, Richard began. We rarely offer such advantageous terms to a professional with your experience profile. I'm flattered, Sarah said diplomatically. Sarah, I'll be direct. We know you're working on the New Horizons project. It's an innovative project, and your contributions have been valuable. Sarah felt an alarm go off in her mind. How do you know about my specific contributions? Seattle is a small city in professional circles. Richard smiled, but there was something forced about his smile. Information gets around. I see. What I'm offering you goes beyond salary and benefits. I'm offering the chance to lead your own projects from day one. You would be the engineer in charge of a new housing development we're planning. What kind of development? Coincidentally, something very similar to New Horizons. Sustainable, affordable housing. Now Sarah was sure her suspicions were correct. Pacific Northwest Builders wasn't just interested in her skills, they wanted information about Skyline Construction's project. Mr. Richard, she said calmly, I really appreciate the interest, but I believe I'll stay at Skyline. The man's face changed. Sarah, I hope you understand this is a unique opportunity. We will hardly make a similar offer again. I understand perfectly. And I also hope you understand that corporate loyalty is a two-way street. Companies remember the professionals who helped them and those who didn't. Sarah felt a chill. That sounded like a veiled threat. Mr. Richard, I believe our conversation ends here. Think carefully, Sarah. Rejecting certain offers can have unintended consequences for your career. At that moment, Michael appeared from the elevator. When he saw Richard Davidson talking to Sarah, his expression turned serious. Richard, he said, approaching. What a surprise to see you here. Michael, Richard replied with a fake smile. I was just having a friendly chat with Sarah about career opportunities. How interesting. I didn't know you made a habit of recruiting employees directly from competing companies, just offering options to talented professionals. Sarah, Michael turned to her. Are you all right? I'm fine, she replied, but Michael could see she was upset. Richard, I believe you've had enough time for your chat, Michael said, his voice taking on a firmer tone. Sarah has work to do. Of course, Richard said, but before walking away he turned to Sarah one more time. Think about what we discussed. The offer is valid until the end of the day. After he left, Michael approached Sarah. What did he say to you? Sarah recounted the entire conversation, including the part about the New Horizons project and the veiled threat at the end. This is unacceptable, Michael said, clearly angry. He can't threaten you like that. Michael, now I'm sure my decision is right. I want to stay here at Skyline. Michael's face lit up. Are you sure? Absolutely. Besides all the professional reasons, I can't work for someone who uses intimidating tactics. Sarah, I'm very happy with your decision, and I promise you won't regret it. One thing, Michael, about the partnership share. It's very generous, but I still feel uncomfortable accepting something so big so soon. I understand perfectly. How about we keep the offer open? When you feel ready, we'll talk again. Perfect. And about the apartment? Sarah smiled. About that, Emma has already decided for both of us. She spent the whole night talking about the room with a view of the park. Michael laughed. Great. We can work out the financing details whenever you'd like. Michael? Yes? Thank you. For everything. For believing in me. For giving me a chance. For treating Emma as if she were special. She is special. Both of you are. There was something in Michael's tone that made Sarah look at him more closely. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither said anything. Mr. Reynolds? Jennifer appeared, interrupting the moment. The meeting with the city has been moved up to tomorrow morning. We'll have to finalize everything today. Of course, Michael said, clearing his throat. Sarah, ready for the final battle? More ready than ever. The rest of the day was a whirlwind, with the whole team working to finalize the last details of the presentation. Sarah was nervous, but also excited. It was her first big professional presentation, and she wanted to make a good impression. That evening, when she went to pick up Emma from daycare, she found the little girl drawing at the activity table. What are you doing, sweetheart? I'm drawing a present for Uncle Michael. Emma showed a colorful drawing of 3 figures holding hands in front of a house. To thank him for letting us live in the new house. Sarah smiled, touched by her daughter's thoughtfulness. It's a very beautiful drawing. I'm sure he'll love it. Mommy, can I give it to him tomorrow? Of course you can. That night, Sarah had trouble sleeping. The next day's presentation was important, not just for the project, but for her career at the company. If everything went well, it would be a big step in establishing her reputation as an engineer. But besides the professional nerves, there was something else keeping her awake. The moment she had shared with Michael earlier, when their eyes met, had stirred up feelings she had been trying to ignore. There was something growing between them, something that went far beyond a professional relationship. The question was, what to do about these feelings? The morning of the presentation arrived sunny and clear. Sarah chose a professional but elegant outfit, a grey skirt, white blouse, and navy blue blazer. She wanted to make a good impression on the city representatives. Mommy, you look very pretty, Emma said as they had breakfast. Thank you, sweetheart. Today is a very important day for Mommy. Why? Because I'm going to present a very special project. If it works out, many families will be able to have new and beautiful homes. Like our new house? Similar, yes. Then it will work out, Emma said with the certainty only children possess. Because you are very good at making houses. Sarah kissed her daughter's forehead, feeling more confident. At the company, the whole team was nervous but excited. The meeting room had been prepared with projectors, models, and charts. Sarah reviewed her notes one last time before the city representatives arrived. Ready? Michael asked, appearing at her side. I think so, Sarah replied, trying to control her nerves. Everything will be fine. You know the project better than anyone here. What if I forget what to say? You won't forget. Just speak from the heart. Tell them why this project is important, not just in technical terms, but in human terms. Sarah nodded, feeling calmer. The city representatives arrived promptly at 9 o'clock. There were 5 people, the housing secretary, 2 city engineers, an architect, and a social worker. Michael opened the presentation by talking about the history of skyline construction and its commitment to social responsibility. Jennifer presented the general technical aspects of the project. Robert detailed the structural solutions. Then it was Sarah's turn. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, her voice steady despite the nervousness. I'm going to talk about something that goes far beyond square footage and budgets. I'm going to talk about human dignity. She clicked on the first slide, which showed a smiling family in front of a simple but well-kept house. This project isn't just about building houses, it's about building homes. And there's a fundamental difference between the two concepts. Sarah spent the next 15 minutes explaining every aspect of the project with passion and technical knowledge. She talked about how the layout of the rooms had been designed to promote family togetherness, how sustainable materials would reduce not only construction costs, but also maintenance costs for the families. The community garden, she explained, isn't just an aesthetic feature. It's a tool for household savings and social integration. Families that plant together grow together. When she finished, the room was silent for a few seconds. Then the housing secretary began to applaud, followed by the other representatives. "Ms. Mitchell," he said, "that was one of the most moving and technically sound presentations we've ever heard. It's clear you didn't just think about building a housing development, but about creating a community." "Exactly," Sarah replied, "because these families deserve more than a roof over their heads. They deserve a place where they can dream and build a future." The meeting continued for another hour, with technical questions and discussions about the schedule and budget. At the end, the secretary stood up. "Ladies and gentlemen of Skyline Construction, it is with great pleasure that I inform you the New Horizons project has been fully approved. You will have our full support for its implementation." The room erupted in applause and hugs. Sarah felt tears of joy in her eyes. Her first major professional project had been approved. "Sarah," Michael said, approaching, "you were extraordinary. I couldn't be prouder. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, for believing in me. You deserved it, and I hope this is just the first of many successful presentations." After the city representatives left, the team celebrated with champagne in the conference room. Sarah was beaming, feeling professionally fulfilled in a way she had never experienced before. "To Sarah," Jennifer toasted, "our newest star." "To the New Horizons project," Sarah replied, "and to all the families who will have a better life because of our work." That afternoon, when she went to pick up Emma from daycare, Sarah was so happy she seemed to float. "How was the presentation, Mommy?" Emma asked. "It was perfect, sweetheart. The project was approved." "Yay!" Emma clapped her hands. "Does that mean you were really good at work?" "Yes, sweetheart. Mommy managed to show the important people that our project will help many families." "And was Uncle Michael happy?" "He was very happy." "Mommy," Emma said, pulling a paper from her backpack, "can I give this to Uncle Michael now?" It was the drawing she had made the day before. Sarah examined it more carefully and noticed details she had missed before. In the drawing, the three figures were not only holding hands but also smiling, and above them, Emma had written in her childlike handwriting, "My family." "Sweetheart," Sarah said gently, "are you sure you want to give this to Uncle Michael?" "Yes, why?" "Because it might make him think things that might not be true." "What things?" Sarah sighed. "How do you explain the complexities of adult relationships to a 4-year-old? "Emma, Uncle Michael is very special to us, but that doesn't mean he wants to be part of our actual family. But he likes us." "Yes, he does. But liking someone and wanting to be a family are different things." Emma was thoughtful for a few seconds. "Mommy, can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "Do you like Uncle Michael?" Sarah felt her face grow warm. "Of course I like him. He's very kind to us." "No, Mommy. Do you like him like the princess likes the prince?" Sarah looked at her daughter, impressed by her perception. "Why do you ask that?" "Because I see how you look at him, and how he looks at you, just like in the movies." Sarah sighed again. It was useless trying to hide feelings from Emma. The girl was very perceptive. "Maybe," she admitted, "but it's complicated, Emma. Uncle Michael is my boss, and we hardly know each other." "But you can get to know each other better," Emma said with the simple logic of children. "And he doesn't seem like a bad boss." Sarah laughed in spite of herself. "No, he's definitely not a bad boss. So is it okay if I give him the drawing?" Sarah looked again at the drawing. It was innocent and touching, a pure expression of a child's feelings, and perhaps it was time to stop being so afraid of showing her own feelings. "It's okay," she finally said. "You can give him the drawing." They went up to Michael's floor. His secretary, a nice lady named Barbara, greeted them with a smile. "Hello, Sarah. I heard the presentation was a success." "It was, Mrs. Barbara. We're very happy." "And this must be the famous Emma," Barbara said, crouching down to the girl's level. "Michael talks about you a lot." "He does?" Emma asked excitedly. "He does. He said you're a very talented artist." "I brought a drawing for him." Emma showed the paper. "How beautiful. I'm sure he'll love it." He's in his office, you can go in. Michael was on the phone when they entered, but he motioned for them to sit down. Sarah noticed he was smiling as he spoke, probably still excited about the success of the presentation. Yes, exactly, he was saying. The project was fully approved. We start implementation next week. No, the team was perfect, especially our new engineer, Sarah Mitchell. She was the highlight of the presentation. Yes, I'll consider a promotion for her soon. Sarah was surprised and touched to hear that praise. Sorry for the wait, Michael said after hanging up. How are my two favorite engineers? Uncle Michael, Emma said, running to him. I made this for you. She handed him the drawing. Michael examined it carefully, and Sarah saw his face change as he understood what he was seeing. Emma, he said softly, this is very beautiful, very special. Do you like it? I like it very much. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever received. It's our family, Emma explained. Me, Mommy, and you. Michael looked at Sarah, who was clearly embarrassed. It's a very beautiful family, he told Emma, but his eyes remained on Sarah. Uncle Michael, Emma continued, happily oblivious to the tension in the air, when are you going to marry Mommy? Emma, Sarah exclaimed. It's just a question, Emma defended herself. Michael laughed, but it was a nervous laugh. Emma, marriage is a very special thing that happens when two people love each other very much and decide to be together forever. And don't you love Mommy? Emma, stop, Sarah said, mortified. No, it's all right, Michael said. He knelt down to Emma's level. Emma, your Mommy is a very special person. She's smart, brave, and a wonderful mother to you. So do you love her? Michael looked at Sarah again. I think love is something that grows slowly, like a plant. It needs time and care to blossom. Like the garden at our new house? Exactly, like the garden at the new house. Emma seemed satisfied with the answer. Mommy, she said, can I go draw at Uncle Michael's desk while you talk about grown-up things? You may, Sarah replied, grateful for the distraction. Emma settled at the coffee table with paper and colored pencils that Michael kept specifically for her. Sarah and Michael sat in the armchairs, and an awkward silence settled between them. Michael, Sarah began, I'm sorry about Emma. She can be very direct sometimes. There's no need to apologize. She's adorable. But she shouldn't ask such personal questions. Sarah, Michael said, leaning forward, can I be honest with you? Of course. Her questions aren't wrong, they're just precocious. Sarah looked at him, confused. What do you mean? I mean that Emma sees something that both of us are trying to ignore. Sarah's heart began to beat faster. Michael, Sarah, from the first day I met you, I felt something special. First it was professional admiration, then it became something personal. And now I can't imagine my life without you and Emma in it. Sarah fell silent, processing what she had just heard. But we're very different, she said finally. You're successful. You have a company. A world I don't know. And you're brave, determined. You have a wonderful daughter and a heart as big as the world, Michael interrupted. Differences don't matter when the feelings are real. Michael, I feel something for you too, Sarah admitted. But I'm afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of getting hurt again. Afraid that this is just gratitude on my part, not love. Afraid you'll change your mind when you realize the complications of being involved with a single mother. Michael stood up and reached out his hand to her. Sarah hesitated, but finally accepted. He gently pulled her until she was standing very close to him. Sarah, he said softly, I can't promise it will be easy. Relationships never are. But I can promise that my feelings are true, and that I will do everything I can to take care of you and Emma. And if it doesn't work out, what if it complicates our professional relationship? Then we'll face those complications together, but I won't let fear stop us from trying to be happy. Sarah looked into his eyes and saw sincerity, affection, and something she recognized as true love. Uncle Michael, Emma said suddenly, are you going to kiss? They quickly pulled apart, both blushing. Emma, Sarah said, in the movies, When people stand that close and look at each other like that, they always kiss, Emma explained innocently. Michael laughed. Emma's right, he said. In the movies, they always kiss. Michael, Sarah whispered, but maybe we should wait until we don't have such an attentive audience, he said, smiling at Emma. I can close my eyes, Emma offered. That's not necessary, little one, Michael said. When the time is right, you'll know. That evening, Sarah and Emma had dinner at home talking about the day's events. Mommy, is Uncle Michael going to be my daddy? I don't know, sweetheart. It's possible he could become a very special person in our lives, but that will happen slowly. But do you like him? Yes, I do. And does he like you? I think so. Then why don't you just get together already? Sarah smiled at her daughter's childish impatience. Because adults need to be sure of their feelings before making important decisions. We don't want to get hurt or hurt the people we love. I won't get hurt if you get together, Emma said. I'll be happy. I know, my love, but it's a decision that Uncle Michael and I need to make together, in our own time. Okay, Emma sighed dramatically. But don't take too long because I've already picked out the dress I'm going to wear at your wedding. Sarah almost choked on her water. What dress? The light blue one Grandma gave me for my birthday. It will look beautiful with the flowers I'm going to throw. Emma, have you planned the entire wedding already? Of course. It will be in the garden of our new house with lots of flowers and a very big cake. And then you'll travel to a beautiful place and I'll stay with Grandma. Sarah Mitchell shook her head, impressed with her daughter's imagination. You've really thought of everything. I have. All that's left is for you to make up your minds. That night, after Emma fell asleep, Sarah stayed on the apartment balcony looking at the city lights. Her life had changed so much in just 2 weeks that she could hardly believe it. From unemployed and desperate to respected engineer and possibly in love. But was it really love? Or was it intense gratitude mixed with physical attraction? How could she tell the difference? Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was Michael. Hello, she answered. Hi, I hope I'm not calling too late. No, I'm still awake. Emma is already asleep. How is she handling everything that happened today? Almost too well, Sarah laughed. She's already planned our wedding. Really? Absolutely. It's going to be in the garden of the new house, with flowers and a big cake. Michael laughed. She's efficient. Yes, she is. Michael. Yes? Thank you for what you said today, about your feelings. I know it wasn't easy. It was the easiest thing I've ever done, Michael replied. What's been hard is keeping those feelings to myself. How long have you felt this way? Honestly, since the first day. When I saw you fighting for your dignity, defending your right to work despite the circumstances, I knew you were special. And when are you going to do something about it? Sarah asked, surprised at her own boldness. When you're ready, Michael answered. I don't want to pressure you into anything. You've been through so much already. What if I said I'm almost ready? There was a pause on the other end of the line. I'd say that makes me happier than I can express. Michael? Yes? Good night. Good night, Sarah. Dream of me. Maybe I will, she said softly before hanging up. The next morning, Sarah woke up in a good mood. It was Saturday, which meant she could spend the whole day with Emma. They decided to go to the park, shop for the new apartment, and maybe visit her grandmother. Mommy, Emma said while playing on the swing, can I call Uncle Michael and ask if he wants to come with us? Emma, he's probably busy. It's the weekend. He has his own things to do. But what if he isn't? What if he's lonely and sad? Sarah laughed at her daughter's logic, but she also grew curious. What did Michael do on weekends? Did he have close friends? A girlfriend? She realized she knew very little about his personal life. As if summoned by her thoughts, Sarah's phone rang. It was Michael. Hello, she answered. Hi, are you two doing anything special today? We're at Central Park. Why? Can I meet you there? I have a surprise for Emma. A surprise? Michael, you don't need to keep buying things for her. It's not something I bought, he laughed. It's something I made. Sarah was curious. All right, We're near the children's playground. 20 minutes later, Michael appeared carrying a wooden box. Uncle Michael! Emma ran to hug him. What's that? It's your surprise, he said, crouching down to open the box. Inside was a handmade dollhouse with incredible details. It had tiny furniture, windows that opened, and even a miniature garden. Wow, Emma exclaimed. You made this? I did. I based it on the design of our new house, but in doll size. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, Emma said, examining every detail. Sarah was speechless. The work was artistically perfect and must have taken hours to complete. Michael, she said, this is incredible. When did you have time to make this? I work with wood on the weekends, he explained. It's my hobby. It relaxes me. It's perfect, Emma said. Look, Mommy, it even has a kitchen just like our new house. I see that, sweetheart. Uncle Michael is very talented. Thank you, Michael said, clearly pleased with their reaction. Emma, would you like me to teach you how to make furniture for the dollhouse? Can I learn? Of course. It's easy, and you have skillful hands for drawing. I'm sure you'll be good at working with wood, too. Sarah observed the interaction between Michael and Emma, and her heart swelled with emotion. He truly cared about the girl, and it wasn't just to impress the mother. There was genuine affection there. Michael, she said, would you like to have lunch with us? I was thinking of having a picnic here in the park. I'd love to, he replied. Can I contribute something? You can buy sodas while Emma and I prepare the sandwiches. They spent the entire afternoon in the park. Emma played with her new dollhouse while Sarah and Michael talked about everything and nothing. They discovered they had similar tastes in music, movies, and books. Michael told more about his childhood and how he had built the company. Sarah spoke about her professional dreams and what it was like raising a child alone. Sarah, Michael said when Emma was distracted with the dolls, may I ask a personal question? Of course. Have you ever thought about having more children? Sarah was surprised by the question. Sometimes, she admitted. I always wanted Emma to have siblings, but I never thought it would be possible being a single mother. And now? Now what? Do you still think it's not possible? Sarah looked him directly in the eyes. It depends on many things, she said cautiously. What kind of things? On finding the right person, on having financial stability, on Emma accepting the idea. And about the right person. Do you have any candidate in mind? Sarah felt her heart race. Maybe, she said softly. Just maybe? Michael, are you asking me to be your girlfriend in a public park? I'm considering it. He smiled. Would it be very inappropriate? A little, Sarah laughed. Especially with Emma listening to us. She's not listening. She's very busy arranging the dollhouse furniture. Even so when would be appropriate? I don't know, Sarah admitted. I never thought about it. Do you want to think about it now? Sarah looked at Emma, who was happily playing, then back at Michael. What exactly are you proposing? I'm proposing that we stop being afraid and give a real chance to what's growing between us. And what would that mean exactly? It would mean dating, spending time together, getting to know each other better, seeing where it takes us. And Emma? Emma would be part of everything, of course. I don't want you without her, Sarah. You're a complete package. Sarah felt her eyes fill with tears. Why are you so perfect? I'm not perfect, Michael laughed. I have flaws like anyone. I'm a workaholic. Sometimes I'm stubborn, and I tend to want to control everything. Those are very acceptable flaws. Sarah smiled through her tears. So yes. Yes, what? Yes, I accept dating you. Michael smiled the biggest smile Sarah had ever seen. Really? Really? He leaned over and kissed her forehead gently. Mommy, Emma shouted suddenly. Uncle Michael kissed you. It was just on the forehead, sweetheart, Sarah said, blushing. It's still romantic, Emma declared. Does that mean you're dating now? Yes, Emma, Michael replied. Your mommy and I are going to date. That's great, Emma clapped her hands. Now can I call you Mommy's boyfriend? You can, Michael laughed. Or you can keep calling me Uncle Michael if you prefer. I'll call you boyfriend, Uncle Michael, Emma decided. That's a bit complicated, Sarah observed. Then I'll just call you Michael, Emma said. Like the adults do. Perfect, Michael agreed. That night, when they returned home, Emma was exhausted but happy. She fell asleep immediately, hugging one of the dolls from the new dollhouse. She loved the surprise, Sarah said while tidying the kitchen. I'm glad, Michael replied. He had insisted on walking them home and helping carry the dollhouse. Sarah? Yes? I don't regret talking about my feelings today. Neither do I, she said, moving closer to him. Michael? Yes? Now that Emma isn't awake. Yes? Could you kiss me for real? Michael smiled and gently pulled her close. Their lips met in a sweet, careful kiss, full of promise and hope. When they parted, both were smiling. It was worth the wait, Michael said. Definitely, Sarah agreed. The following weeks were like a dream for Sarah. She was radiant at work, happy at home, and in love in a way she had never experienced before. Michael was attentive without being possessive, affectionate without being sappy, and treated Emma as if she were his own daughter. They had dinner together several times a week, alternating between Sarah's apartment and restaurants. On weekends, Michael taught Emma how to work with wood, creating small projects that developed her motor skills and creativity. Sarah, Jennifer commented one day, you seem different. Happier, more confident. I'm feeling good, Sarah admitted. Does it have to do with Michael? Sarah blushed. Why do you ask? Because everyone at the office has noticed how you look at each other, and Michael seems different too, lighter, more smiley. Is it that obvious? To those who know you, yes, Jennifer smiled. But don't worry, everyone approves. Michael deserves to be happy, and so do you. Thank you. And can I say something? You make a beautiful couple. Sarah smiled, feeling blessed. A month after they started dating, Michael made a special proposal. Sarah, how about we spend a weekend at my family's farm? You have a farm? My family did. Now it's mine. It's in Woodinville, about 2 hours from here. It's a peaceful, beautiful place. Emma would love to see the animals. Animals? I have a few horses, cows, chickens. Nothing too big, but enough to entertain a curious child. Sarah was excited by the idea. Emma would love that. She's never seen farm animals up close. So shall we go? Let's go. On Friday afternoon, they left for Woodinville. Emma was so excited she couldn't stop asking questions the whole trip. Michael, are the horses big? Very big, Emma. And the cows? Even bigger. And can I touch them? Yes, you can, carefully. The farm was even more beautiful than Sarah had imagined. It was a historic property with a renovated colonial house surrounded by green fields and mountains in the background. Michael, this is incredible, Sarah said when they got out of the car. Thank you, it's my refuge when I need to escape the city. Is this where you work with wood? Yes, I have a workshop in the back of the house. Emma had already run off toward the corral, where some cows were grazing peacefully. Emma, wait! Sarah shouted. It's all right, Michael reassured her. The cows are gentle, and the corral is safe. They spent the weekend exploring the property. Emma learned to feed the chickens, brushed the horses under Michael's supervision, and even tried to milk a cow. Sarah fell in love with the tranquility of the place and how Michael transformed there. He was more relaxed, more himself. Sarah, he said on Sunday morning while Emma played in the garden, can I show you something? Of course. He took her to the woodworking workshop. It was a spacious, well-organized space with tools of all kinds and various pieces in different stages of construction. Wow, Sarah said, impressed. Did you make all of this? Over the years, yes. It's my favorite hobby. Sarah examined the pieces, tables, chairs, shelves, all made with perfect craftsmanship. Michael, you have an incredible talent. Have you ever thought about selling these pieces? I don't do it for money, he said. I do it because it relaxes me, connects me to something simple and real. I understand. Sarah, he said, his voice growing more serious. I want to show you something special. He led her to a corner of the workshop where something was covered with a sheet. What is it? See for yourself. Michael removed the sheet, revealing a beautifully carved wooden cradle. It was a work of art with delicate details and a perfect finish. Michael, Sarah whispered. This is... I made it thinking about the future, he said softly. Our future. Sarah approached the cradle, running her hands over the delicate carvings. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Sarah, Michael said, moving closer to her. I know it's early to talk about this, but I can't stop imagining our life together. You, Emma, me, and maybe other children. Sarah turned to him, her eyes filled with tears. Michael. I love you, he said simply. I love you. I love Emma. I love the family we already are and the family we could be. I love you too, Sarah said, tears rolling freely. More than I thought possible. They kissed there in the workshop, surrounded by the smell of wood and the symbol of a future they were building together. Mommy, Michael, Emma came running in. Where are you? We're here, sweetheart, Sarah answered. Emma entered the workshop and immediately saw the cradle. How pretty, she exclaimed. Is it for dolls? It's for babies, Michael explained. For real babies. Yes. Emma looked from Michael to Sarah and back to Michael. Are you going to have a baby? Maybe one day, Sarah said, if everything works out. I would love to have a little brother or sister, Emma said excitedly. Can I help take care of them? Of course you can, Michael said, hugging the girl. You would be the best big sister in the world. When will it happen? We don't know yet, sweetheart, Sarah said. These things take time. That's okay, Emma said philosophically. I'll wait. That night, after Emma fell asleep, Sarah and Michael stayed on the farm's porch looking at the stars. Sarah, Michael said, I know it's very early, but I need to say something. What? I want to marry you. Sarah turned to him, surprised. Michael, I'm not asking right now, he said quickly. I know we need more time, but I want you to know my intention is serious. I want to build a life with you and Emma. How can you be so sure? Because I've never felt this way about anyone. Because I wake up every day thinking of you. Because I can't imagine a future that doesn't include both of you. Sarah snuggled against him. I want that too, she said. More than anything. So it's a plan. It's a plan. They stood there holding each other, making plans for the future and dreaming of all that was to come. 6 months later, in the garden of Sarah and Emma's new apartment, Michael knelt with a diamond ring in his hand. Sarah Mitchell, he said, his voice trembling with emotion, you've completely changed my life. You brought love, joy, and purpose to days that were once just work and obligations. You and Emma made me understand the true meaning of family. Emma stood beside them, holding a bouquet of flowers she had chosen herself. Sarah, Michael continued, will you marry me? Will you form an official family with me? Will you be my partner for life? Yes, Sarah said through her tears. Yes, I will. Michael placed the ring on her finger and kissed her as Emma clapped joyfully. Now are you really going to get married? Emma asked. Yes, we are, sweetheart, Sarah answered. And can I wear the light blue dress? You can wear the light blue dress, Michael laughed. And then are you going to have a baby? Maybe, Sarah said. God willing. I'll ask God to will it, Emma said with conviction. The wedding took place 3 months later in a simple but moving ceremony at the farm in Woodinville. Emma was the flower girl, wearing her favorite light blue dress and carrying a bouquet of flowers from the garden. The reception was small but warm with close family and friends. Mrs. Patricia, Sarah's mother, cried throughout the entire ceremony. The employees of Skyline Construction attended in full force, celebrating not just the wedding, but also the success of the New Horizons project, which had become a model for other cities. To Sarah and Michael, Jennifer toasted during the reception, for proving that true love still exists and that stories of overcoming adversity have happy endings, To our new family, Michael replied, hugging Sarah and Emma. 1 year after the wedding, Sarah discovered she was pregnant. The news was met with celebration by the whole family, especially by Emma, who was eager to be a big sister. "Mommy," Emma said, placing her hand on Sarah's still small belly, "when will the baby be born?" "In a few months, my love." "Can I talk to him?" "Of course you can." Emma leaned close to Sarah's belly. "Hi, baby," she said softly. "I'm your sister Emma. I'm so happy you're coming to our family. Daddy Michael made a beautiful crib for you, and I'm teaching him how to take care of babies." Sarah and Michael exchanged emotional looks. She had started calling Michael Daddy naturally, a few months after the wedding, and he had been so moved he cried. "Emma," Sarah said, "what do you think it is, a boy or a girl?" "A girl," Emma answered without hesitation. "To be my little sister and play dolls with me. And if it's a boy, that's okay too. I'll teach him how to draw and work with wood like Daddy Michael." The baby was born on a sunny spring morning. It was a girl, exactly as Emma had predicted. They named her Olivia, and she was born with her sister's blue eyes and her father's dark hair. "She's perfect," Emma whispered when she held her little sister for the first time. "Yes, she is," Sarah agreed, exhausted but beaming. "Daddy Michael," Emma said, "is our family complete now?" "Yes, my love," Michael replied, kissing Emma's forehead. "Our family is perfect." 5 years had passed since that difficult day at the Skyline construction reception. Sarah, now 33, was one of the most respected engineers in Seattle. She had been promoted several times and now headed the company's social projects department. The New Horizons project had become a permanent program, benefiting hundreds of families. Emma, now 9 years old, was a confident and happy girl. She excelled in school in both art and math, and always spoke proudly about her real family. Olivia, 3 years old, was a perfect blend of her parents, curious like her mother, determined like her father, and affectionate like her older sister. Michael had become not only a wonderful husband, but also an exceptional father. He shared the domestic and family responsibilities equally, and never made any distinction between Emma and Olivia. Both were his daughters equally. "Sarah," he said one evening after the girls had gone to sleep, "do you remember the day we met?" "How could I forget?" She laughed. "Emma running up to you, you kneeling down to talk to her. I knew in that moment that you were special. I didn't know how or why, but I felt that meeting would change my life." "It changed all our lives," Sarah said, snuggling against him on the sofa. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if Emma hadn't run up to you." "I would have found a way to meet you," Michael said with conviction. "Fate always finds a way." "You really believe in fate?" "I believe that some people are made for each other, and we are one of those perfect matches. Even with all the difficulties we faced, especially because of them, the difficulties made us stronger, more united, more grateful for what we have." Sarah looked around the farmhouse living room, where they now spent every weekend. The walls were decorated with Emma's drawings and family photos. The coffee table had Olivia's toys scattered about. It was the perfect definition of home. "Michael?" "Yes?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing beyond appearances that first day, for believing in me when I doubted myself, for giving us a real family. Thank you for having the courage to start over, for trusting me, for making me a better man and a proud father." They kissed there in the living room, surrounded by the symbols of a life built with love, determination, and much hope. "Daddy? Mommy?" Olivia appeared in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. "Can I sleep with you?" "Of course, my love," Sarah said, opening her arms. "I want to too." Emma appeared right behind her sister. "Everyone to the big bed," Michael laughed. "Families who love each other sleep together." They settled into the king-size bed, with Olivia between Sarah and Michael, and Emma on the other side of her mother. "Daddy Michael," Olivia said sleepily, "tell the story of how you and Mommy met." "Again?" Michael asked, smiling. "It's my favorite story," Emma said, "especially the part where I ran to you at the company." "All right," Michael said. "Once upon a time, There was a brave princess named Sarah, and a little princess named Emma, Olivia interrupted. That's right, and they went to a castle looking for work. As Michael told the story for the 100th time, Sarah watched her daughters. Emma listened attentively, even though she already knew every detail. Olivia fought against sleep, determined to hear it to the end. It was amazing how a humiliating rejection had turned into the beginning of the greatest happiness of their lives, how a moment of despair had become the first step toward a true love story. And they lived happily ever after, Michael finished. Really ever after? Olivia asked. Really ever after, Sarah confirmed, kissing her youngest daughter's forehead. That's good, Olivia sighed, finally surrendering to sleep. Sarah looked at Michael over the girls' heads. He smiled at her, a smile full of love and contentment. They didn't need words to communicate. After years together, they understood each other perfectly. They had everything they had ever dreamed of: true love, a close family, rewarding work, and the certainty that no matter what challenges the future brought, they would face everything together. Sarah closed her eyes, listening to her daughter's calm breathing and feeling her husband's warmth beside her. This was how a story of overcoming should end, with love, family, and the promise that the best days were still to come. End of story. Dear listener, so what did you think of this story of Sarah and Michael? Can true love really come from the most unexpected situations? Leave your opinion about this beautiful journey of overcoming and family in the comments. If you made it this far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more emotional stories like this one.